been presented to us is very clearly suggestive of that. So that's where we are. I leave it to you all to ask me any question.
The floor is open to my friends to ask questions.
Ma'am,
first introduce yourself.
I'm Sam Daniel from NDTV. Tamil Nadu known to be the Detroit of India in terms of automobile manufacturing. Both manufacturers of automobile like cars and component manufacturers complain of massive dip in demands leading to partial shutdown of their factories as well as closing down of companies like Sundaram Clayton, TVS Lucas. They all have announced non-holidays. They have two specific demands which they feel could revive the industry before the festive season. One, to bring down the GST and to bring fuel under the GST. Are you working towards these two, ma'am?
First thing first, I've had the automobile industry also come and meet us during that week-long consultation that I held with different sectors. As a result of the consultation that I held with automobile, both the component manufacturers and also the automobile manufacturers, is a set of announcement that I've made in the first tranche of announcement that I came up with on August 23rd. And the measures were very clearly spelt out. And the inputs that I'm getting from the sector is that it can have a positive impact. So that is one thing. Over and above that, as and when I go, like today particularly, I'm meeting with the automobile sector in the afternoon, and some representatives were here already. As regards any suggestion or request coming on the GST rate cut business, it is not entirely in my hands. It has got to go to the GST Council, and the GST Council, where all the state finance ministers assemble, it is for them to take a call. I have suggested to them that I'll take it to the GST Council, but the final decision will be theirs. So that is one thing said. Second, from the central government side, we've already very clearly said that the depreciation rate, which is at the moment existing at 15%, this year we will increase it by another 15%, so the total will be 30% for depreciation. So that's also been already mentioned. Other than that, the BS4 to BS6 vehicle and the inventory which is getting piled up, we have very clearly said everything will benefit by the depreciation that we've announced, and there shall not be a confusion on the basis of Government of India looking at promoting EVs. We want all vehicles to have their due market share. It's not as if we are pushing one at the cost of the others. All this has been explained, but specifically on the GST, I'll wait for the council to take a call. Thank you, ma'am.
I am Balavechwil from Puriya Thalamurai. India பொருளாதாரத்தின் மிக விரைவாக வளரக்கூடிய ஆற்றலை பெற்றது. ஆனால் மோடி அரசின் தவறான மேலாண்மையால் மந்த நிலையை அடைந்துள்ளதுன்னு டாக்டர் மன்மோகன் சிங் வந்து காலையில ஒரு ட்விட்டர்ல ஒரு வீடியோ போட்டிருந்தாங்க. சோ அத பத்தி நிதித்துறை அமைச்சர் அப்படிங்கிற முறையில உங்க கருத்து?
கருத்து இல்லைங்க, அவர் கருத்து சொல்றாரு, நான் காதால கேட்டுக்கிறேன்.
Please.
Ma'am, I'm Pramila Krishnan from BBC News. It's, in the early this year, there was a study by the NSSO. It says it's not just the automobile sector, but India's half of the working age population for the first time is not contributing to any economic activity. It's talking about the job losses. It's not only the automobile sector. How are we going to handle the job loss in various sectors, starting from the farming to almost all the sectors? How are we going to bring up these jobs?
Ma'am, first of all, ma'am, while I take your point, that wherever there is a need for government to come up with facilitation and support, we are willing to hear those sectors and respond to them. And I'm not of the view that just the automobile sector, but every sector which needs to have a consultation with us, we have welcomed them. We are all years we are hearing them, we are responding to them. After hearing them, we are also responding. And that is why even in my first tranche of announcements, I even on that very day said I will come with more, because the continuation of consultation is an ongoing process with some of the other sectors too. So even for them, we shall be coming and responding. But however, the data on jobs in India, even as much as was collected till before the government came in 2014, till before the government has come back again in 2019, have all concentrated on the formal sector only. And that is something which I'm not stating today. Everyone who deals with data, with statistics knows that. So, India informal sector employment has not been appropriately or exhaustively documented. we should also keep that in mind while we are talking about sectors where every sector is suffering. There are also informal sector in which jobs have also not been calculated or documented. I'm conscious of both formal and informal. The data collection on that is what I'm talking about. And I'm sure the measures are being taken by the concerned data collection, statistics and program implementation ministry. But I'm only taking this opportunity to highlight the fact that when we are referring to data from the government, like the NSSO that you referred to, talk only about the formal sector and not at all about the informal. And in India, the nature of our economy being what it is, in the informal structure, in the informal sector is where majority of our employment is. And there, if there is stress or anything, I'm willing to hear those respective sectors, is what I want to convey to you.
Ma'am, this is Bharani from Economic Times on this side.
Yes.
Leaving aside what former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has said, the question on top of mind for many in the country is that whether we are in the midst of a slowdown, whether or not the government recognizes this as a slowdown or not, whether what we can expect from the quarters to come.
But you're saying whether or not the government recognizes, what question are you asking me then?
Whether this is a slowdown, are we recognizing
But
this?
you yourself are saying whether or not government recognizes or not recognizes. So are you asking me a question, or are you commenting on it?
I'm not commenting on it. I'm asking.
But you did say that, didn't you?
I did not.
You just said something to that effect. Or did I hear you wrong?
No,
Sorry
I did
about
not.
that.
I did not.
So what's your question?
My question is whether the government recognizes the current economic status as a slowdown.
The government has been in consultation with a lot of sectors which wanted to come and speak to us about the various measures that they expect, because in some sectors the inventory is piling up and so on, and different issues for different sectors. And having heard them and having spent some time to see how best we can respond, the first tranche of announcements were made on 23rd. Last Friday, I've made one other set of announcements. So I've also said I'll come back again as and when the process of consultation are over and we have worked on how we can respond. So I will be coming back to respond to sectors which have spoken to us and which want some relief from us.
Ma'am, Rajesh Chandramodi from the Times of India. I have 3 questions. When do you expect the announcements that you've made in the last 2 weeks to translate into visible change on ground in terms of sentiment upliftment and buying to happen? Because we are just about the time when the festive season is about to set in with Onam, which is the harbinger of all the festival season that goes on up to Pongal. And the second question is the rising gold prices. Is that a cause for concern from a current account deficit standpoint? Is there a gold monetization or a gold scheme that you're working on? And third is the pain on the exports front. Is there a policy or a procedure or a set of issues that you're working with the Commerce Ministry and DGFT on exports?
On the first one, when will the impact of the announcements that we have made? See, even in the budget, we had announced certain things. Like, for instance, giving the 70,000 crores for the bank capitalization. That's already, I'm showing you very clear milestone after that announcement to say how and through what kind of channel that would take its shape. So I expect that to start flowing already. Over and above that, in the budget again, we did say that we will take care of the liquidity-related crisis of the NBFC-related issue. The NBFC-related issue was not just liquidity, because it had governance issues, it had solvency issues, it had NBFCs which had borrowed heavily short-term and were lending long-term. And then, therefore, they had this problem of cyclical financial, gaps or voids which were coming up. So, in order to address that, we came up with this liquidity window, and also made sure that the first 10% will have a stopgap, in the sense sovereign guarantee given for the loss, first 10% loss. Even that has been notified by the RBI, And I know, as I was announcing an amalgamation of banks yesterday, last Friday, at least 4 NBFCs have come out because of that relief which has been offered. Of course, there are several NBFCs in this country, but not all NBFCs are undergoing similar problems. One, liquidity is not a problem for all of them. Each one has different kind of problem. So already, the steps announced in the budget are seeing ground level changes in that the NBFCs have already started receiving liquidity, bank capitalization has already seen the amalgamation happening, and the co-origination, which is one of the linked announcement where banks have the liquidity, but NBFCs have the spread. Both of them together can work for any particular lending that they want to do. So the banks are not going to be sitting with liquidity saying, I don't know who to lend. NBFCs are not going to say, I have people, but I don't know where to get the money. We brought in this co-origination. So a lot of such steps which can have an immediate impact on the ground have already been worked. You are also in the field. You may be able to see what kind of impact it's creating. I'm sure we'll benefit from all the information you can share, we can share, and the industry can share. So if I were to, if that is the question you want to ask me, this is how I would see at various different levels, the interventions are being felt. It might be taking a while for me to assess and measure them. So that's my response to your first question. Third, I think about the petroleum product. See, the gold, it's very difficult. I know there is a sentiment in India about buying gold. It's considered auspicious. And it's also something which invariably we end up spending for various reasons. But it's also a truth that it's not a product which is extracted in India. We don't have reserves of gold. And we are importing every gram of gold that we buy. And if we have to import giving a foreign exchange, is it something which I can allow to come in freely? And therefore we wanted to restrict. But if even after that there is no deterring, I'm glad the Revenue Secretary has taken his mic in his hand. I'm sure he wants to add to it. Just allow him to do that much. I'll come back to you third.
About the gold, the price increase, we must know that why it is happening. Internationally, you have seen that, various places, the indexes, the securities market indexes, whether it is a US market or whether it is a Japanese or Shanghai, it is going down. It is a general tendency that, in the world, if other asset class, they start giving lower returns, the people shift towards, the other asset class, and gold is one of them, right? And therefore the prices are increasing. So that is one factor. Then the second factor is that even the rupee depreciation, you just see that, in last 4 or 5 months, rupee has gone from where to where. So that is also adding to this, the total price. So whenever we consider this, and then in that background, we have to see that what is our balance of payment position, our foreign exchange position, and how do we manage? Because if we do not manage properly, then this further puts pressure on the exchange rate. And that is the, it's a very, very fine balance that we have to exercise to maintain our balance of payment, this foreign exchange position, as well as the exchange rate, and then the prices. This is something, the suggestions are being received, suggestions have been received, and then, there was some discussion at a certain level, and, this is something which, the suggestions are being received, and then, we will figure out, how to do that. One of the problems in any gold monetization scheme is that how do you ascertain the value of the gold? Because, what the people have, gold in their possession is not something, it is a standardized. Right. So whenever you have, monetization means that, there has to be some standardization. Suppose, you have a certain amount of jewelry, whether it is a 22 carats or 18 carats or mixed with what, X, Y, Z. And therefore, all those problems keep arising. So whenever the discussions have taken place in the past, this is this is also an issue which needs to be addressed. So that is where we are.
I'm on the exports. You said you'll On the exports, you said you'll...
Yes, in the process of talking to various segments, various sectors of the society, industry, they are not exclusively manufacturing for defense. So automobile components also are exporters. Like that, every sector, when it addresses and talks to us, are also talking to us about the export side of their business. So we are taking those inputs also.
Ma'am, this is Shabir from Times Now, and there are reports and, we get to hear from channels and papers and on the social media, there's a talk that there is economic slowdown and the government of India is not ready to acknowledge it. Are we witnessing an economic slowdown? That's my first question. And the second question is, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh has issued a statement in which he has said that the economy has reached this level because of demonetization and the hasty implementation of GST. So he wants the government of India to reach out to sane voices rather than fulfilling their political vendetta and, trying to revive the economy. So I want your reactions on...
I just want a clarification from you. Has Dr. Manmohan Singh saying instead of taking political vendetta, they should consult sane voices? Has he said that?
Yes, he has
said that? Political vendetta and consultation with the sane voices?
Yes,
I see. All right.
His statement, yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll take his statement on.
My answer?
No, that's my answer. You've asked me and I've said I'll take it.
First question. Are we witnessing an economic slowdown? Is the government of India acknowledging that there is an economic slowdown?
I'm meeting with industries and taking their inputs and industries' suggestions on what they would want and what they expect from the government of India. I'm responding to them. I've already done twice. I will do more number of times so that every industry which has approached me, I will respond.
This is Narayan from Hindu
So
Business
last two
Line.
questions, please.
Many bank unions have expressed concern about large-scale possibility of retrenchment due to this merger, and they are also going on strike. What is your view on this?
Absolutely ill-informed. I want to assure every union in every one of these banks to please recall what I have said last Friday. When we spoke about the amalgamation of banks, each time I have, as I'm talking about one set of amalgamation, second set of, like that I've spoken about 4 sets of amalgamation. I have very clearly underlined the fact that there shall not be one employee removed. Not at all. We are not looking at any employee being removed. And that is also proven by the fact earlier we had done about 2 years ago SBI with all its groups. This year, early this year, sometime in February, March, probably before April, Bank of Baroda with 2 other banks. Has there been even one retrenchment, please? No. None of them had, and I've made it a point to make it as a specific announcement, even last Friday, that there shall not be a removal from job of even 1%. I want 1%. I'm taking this opportunity to reiterate, and therefore they need not have any concern on that score.
Ma'am, this is Pramod Madhav from Mirror Now. I also have three questions actually. The first one's about the merger of banks. Bank employees, they have done a strike. They claim that this only will lead to monopoly, and they have given Indian Bank as an example, stating that it has 200 years of tradition of knowing the customers from Chennai, and it's being closed, and they are worried about it.
It's been closed?
According to them, like
really?
the merger, they are considering it as a closure.
Excuse me.
I understand,
Excuse
but
me.
that is it.
I want you to be,
Let me make it very...
I want you to be sure.
I understand, ma'am.
Because I want to correct that
perception. They are considering it...
No bank is being closed.
I totally understand, ma'am. Sentimentally, they are considering it that way.
No, considering is a different issue, sir. You are in the media. You are the 4th pillar of the democracy. I want it to be a far more clear-headed meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. So the merger, they are considering it is like not going to help the customers and localization of the customers. And the second one is that one of your party leaders, Subramanian Swamy, he's tweeted saying that get ready to say goodbye to $5 trillion of economic policies forthcoming. And In the third one is that if you could explain it to the layman, because there's a confusion about economic slowdown and various fear that is coming up. Can you give us an explanation as to if this is an economic slowdown or something else so that the layman can get away with this fear?
Layman is who?
The common person, ma'am. He could
Right.
not.
Okay, thanks. Your first question, no, there's no closure of any bank. Yeah? There's no closure of any bank. And no bank is being asked to do something different from what they were doing earlier. So, for instance, the example that you quoted, I'm not taking that example, you quoted it, I'd like to respond to that. That particular bank is not being asked to do anything different. In fact, we are giving them more capital to do what they've been doing all the while and even more. So, if there is this narrative outside, that, oh my God, they were concentrating and doing in a particular area, they're now not being asked to do anything different, sir. They're being given more capital, and they shall continue to do what they have been doing earlier with a greater vigor.
Will the
and with a
headquarters be in
greater
Chennai or will it be moved, ma'am?
Sorry?
The headquarters, will it be in Chennai or will it be moved?
That's the anchor bank. Why will it be moved? And
these
even
are-
if, one minute, what is this? I just want to be sure that the narrative is heard fully. When you give capital to a particular branch or a bank, it is given for them to function more with what they are expected to do in their core business. And their core business is to attract savings and to lend. So the bank, when it is being given there, that's what they will be doing. One. Second, another bank from this very region, the Indian Overseas Bank, continues without even any amalgamation added to it. So is that also something which we should keep in mind? Because if they have been here, they're doing the business, and that's what they are, been doing all the while. They knew the customers. We want them to even do better for the customers who they know better. So I hope with that your first question gets answered.
Last question, please.
The second,
Ma'am, good noon, ma'am. Ma'am, good afternoon.
he's asked. Okay. So the second question, just indicate to me what it was. Sorry.
It was about Subramaniam Swami's
That's
tweet.
fine. All right. What was the third?
Third one is about an explanation over the current situation, because there is
That's
confusion
what I've told
and fear.
you, right? See, every sector of Indian economy, when it approaches us, we are hearing them out for solutions that they want, and we are responding to it. So I'm looking at it from the way in which each of these sectors comes and tells me. The automobile, for an example, has had issues because they have to now transition from BS4 to BS6. And that is not a Government of India decision, it's a Supreme Court order. And that's not an order which came yesterday, it came 2 years ago. But it came 2 years ago to be told that from 31st March 2020, they shall not produce any BS4 vehicle, be it scooter, be it motorbike, be it commercial vehicle, be it passenger vehicle, be it any vehicle. That's an order which is coming into effect probably in the next couple of months from 1st April 2020. So they have a problem of inventory all belonging to the BS4 category. And they also have a problem because they should now start producing engines capable of meeting emission as per the standard 6, BS6. This transition in the automobile industry has come about because of a Supreme Court order 2 years past. And that transformation from BS4 to BS6 is getting closer.